Hi, welcome to today's show of Focus. Today we have again a very good topic, very interesting topic also, if it's fair to say. Today we'll be talking about business. We'll be talking about, the elements of becoming, successful in business, how to be a successful businessman or a businesswoman. And today, my guest is going to be a young man that, recently started his own business or a business of his own. Mr. Jafar Gibbons, former UGSS president, sports enthusiast, some may say. So today we're gonna have a very, good, informative conversation again. And yeah, let's see where this leads for us. Mr. Gibbons, good having you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's always nice talking to you.
I feel like I'm always here.
Yeah, it's really fun. So it's such a, basically it's always a learning experience when you're here. But today we're going to talk about something that probably runs the world, which is business.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of people, going into business, endeavoring now into business. Some online, some doing this, some doing that, some, a lot of things. So with your knowledge now, being an entrepreneur, having your own business and so on, what do you think, is probably one of the key elements to, becoming a successful businessman along with having a successful business?
I think first and foremost, let me say thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure here to come and join you. To the first point about business running the world, most everything we do in life is basically a transaction.
Yeah.
So that's basically the origin of business.
Yeah.
I think what's important for any successful businessman or any successful business is your integrity.
Yeah.
If you are someone with good credibility throughout the streets, as the local man might say, you might attract a lot of customers because they can rely on your credibility.
Yeah.
It speaks for itself. Sometimes they say your reputation precedes you. It's because people hear of you, they know of you. They know that if they entrust you with their finance, because ultimately business involves finance.
Yeah.
They know that if they entrust you with their finance for whatever services, that you can deliver on that because of your credibility. So for me, the most important thing about your business is your credibility.
I think it's really fair to say that though, because it's right. Your credibility is everything, because if we to look at, we're going out to these, let's just use this for example, those financial institutions, and we go, we inquire about a loan and these are things, first thing they have to do is run a credibility test on you, check out your credit score, and these are things. So it's fair to say, credibility, is one of the most important factors, in starting a business and being successful also. But I had, I jot down some examples, and to me, I believe in time management as one of the most important aspects of, having a successful business.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
That's fair, but I think that would tie into your credibility. I don't think someone who's not with good credit would be someone who can't manage their time. But
it's strong though. It's a strong point, because at times I've seen people that, you could, let's just not look at it from an aspect of returning back of funds.
Yeah.
But let's just look at the aspect of what I'm going to say now. It's like, I know this person, he or she is credible enough. I could trust them with money, but something about them is that, they just can't tend to manage the timings of everything. Because sometimes, your friend might go into business, I trust you. You know what I mean? Sometimes you might not put a time on returning back, your money. Yeah. So I believe that time management though is of everything. Because what I've seen lately is that a lot of young people, is going into business. A lot. Trust me, a lot of them is going into business.
You will find that trend because of what the pandemic would have done.
Yeah.
The pandemic really reshaped the way people view business, the way people do business, and ultimately the way people deliver services. Yeah. So you're gonna find now, and there's statistics there to back it, that since pandemic, businesses have risen to a different level in terms of the amount, in terms of capabilities. The issue with time management, like I said, me being your friend doesn't make me a credible individual, right? You can be my friend and be very unscrupulous. I will still be your friend. I'm not here to put you aside. Of course, I can pull you up, but that doesn't mean because you're my friend, you're credible. So if I'm managing my time bad, that speaks to that speaks to your reliability as well. I can't depend on you to deliver service in a timely manner if you can't manage your time. And that will hinder your credibility. So, but on the point of time management, of course, I think time in and of itself, the construct, would vary based on what kind of person you might be. Somebody who's employed at somewhere, they managing their time might be different from someone who owns their own business and is functioning as a business owner 24/7. For example, a business owner might find himself up at 2 a.m. in the morning, still working on perfecting or smoothing out of his business. You know, you get messages from me at 2 a.m. in the morning because sometimes those are the times your ideas are flourishing. You're in a zone. You can't come out of that as a business owner. Meanwhile, the person who's working for a firm, he needs to be sleeping at 2 a.m. because he has to wake up at 6 in the morning or maybe 8 in the morning, depends. So time management is important for everybody, but it all depends on what type of business you're in, what you're doing. Of course, if your own business is a part-time, if you're doing your business part-time, you now have to manage what time you get home from work, what time you dedicate to your business, how do you respond to customers. So the time management is important, but it varies from individual to individual.
But let me just stay on the fact of young people going into business, because I want to say that a lot of young people, indeedly, it's fair. Well, it's nice to say we are doing business, right? It's fair to say, but what I'm saying is that a lot of them, you know, are going into business without the right essential, or let's just say without the right guidance. You understand? Because what I've seen over my life doing business at the marketplace, and it's like, how exactly one point, because I really want some, you know, that boss, I really want to construct it, you know, perfectly. But business is a real strange thing. You see, demand and supply. People don't really take the time for understand demand and supply. But there's a reason why you got a lot of unsuccessful companies, and also there's a reason why you have a lot of successful companies. Because let me just show you it. Like I want to put it real raw. It's like I really, you know, pitching the exact way I really want to put it. But a lot of young people are failing because they just go and do business. They go and do ordering business because, you know what, hey, I just going to do ordering. I just learn to do ordering, but they ain't really want to, you know, learn to add another element to it. Unlike what I've seen Jafar doing. You know, you add a little, you know, pieces to that is probably like, wow, Jafar doing this, and I was like, nah, I like the way Jafar doing it, so I can be credible enough, to me, you seem credible enough now for me to give you my resource or my finance and say, yo, work on behalf of me.
I think, and there's not, I don't really want to place too much of a burden of blame at the feet of young folks. I mean, and I don't want to also blame the older folks who would have mentored us while we were young. You know, sometimes they tell you something starts with just a step forward, or sometimes it's just an idea, and we have taken that in the raw sense of the word. And, oh, I have an idea, let me start baking and just bake, and then what they mightn't tell you is that everything, all of these businesses, it has seasons. How do you cope when, say, for example, like with the ordering business, we purchase stuff online. Let's say, for example, in February and March, people don't really order. What do you do in the meanwhile while business is done? Or how then do you put alternatives in place to ensure business isn't done for you in February or March? Or how then do you make doing business with you attractive in those down periods? Because sometimes, say for example, December, if you want stuff in December, you need to order them by October to get them in November. Because if you order them, say in November, hoping that you get them in December, that might hurt you, because let's say you're ordering from America, it's snowing, delivery slow up, delivery services closed down for various holidays. So you take those things into consideration. So I think one is good to tell young people that, oh, you have an idea.
Yeah.
But when you start a business, you have to think about things like your business registration, becoming GRA and NIS compliant.
Yeah.
What about if you want to take your business to a next step, you want to get contracts, and you need to have certain things in place. The pandemic, like I said, would have changed the way we do business.
Yeah.
You don't need to have a physical store. Wherever you want, like for example, with my business, persons are ordering stuff online.
Yeah.
Say you want something, I can literally procure the item and then have it delivered to your doorstep without you even having to move.
Yeah.
I don't even need to see you, because now you can pay me on MMG.
Yeah.
You can go into the bank and deposit it. You can send the money via online banking platforms. You know, I had one customer paid me via Republic Bank cashless transactions.
Yeah.
All he need to send me is a transaction number, and I show up to the ATM, punch in a number, and the cash comes out. There's no, so I'm saying it's like the pandemic changed the way we've done business.
Yeah.
And while it's nice to tell young people it's just an idea, becoming a businessman is more than just an idea. You have to, that idea has to have with it an entire accompanying document that will say, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
This is the aim of how I'm going to do it. It
Yeah.
has to have a time frame. This is how I'm going to about achieving what I set out to achieve. And you work from there. You're not going to get, the beauty about business, you're not going to get 5 million people at your doorstep when you open. You probably wouldn't even get, you might get 0. Mm-hmm. You might get one person who's just, oh, you got something, let me just support. But you have to be willing to see a business beyond that initial starter, because that process is never going to be easy.
But you see, something that I've seen made businessmen and businesswomen successful is that they're not afraid of failure, though.
You can't be, because business is about risk and investment. Most times, so every investment you make, it will have a risk attached to that. Like if you do finance at the university, that's something you will learn in any level of economics, even without going to school. Every investment you take, there's a risk involved, of course. But if the risk doesn't outscore or outweigh the investment and what it can return, obviously you're going to invest. But if that risk amounts to more than that investment, it actually makes no sense to make that investment, because ultimately you're going to run yourself into the ground. You know, so
money management, but I'm not going to touch on that like immediately.
Yeah.
But you see, that's why or let's say that's the reason why we ended up here, because what exactly I'm seeing is that a lot of people are going into business, as I said earlier, and as fast as they go into it, they are running away from it, because these level of knowledge is not really, to their doorstep.
Right.
They probably don't have a father or a mother to like teach them like, yo, these seasons and these sort of things. But then at the same time, it is of all importance to keep, let's say I'm endeavoring into business. I don't think that I need, like people in me ears that, ain't doing business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the way let's say my family, became successful at what, we do.
Yeah.
My mom, she saw somebody that doing business, she, aspire like them. Yeah. Now she is the best.
Yeah.
Not to boast or exaggerate. She is the best.
Sure.
You understand? So a lot of times we see, we go into business and like we don't even have the right manpower in line for us to be successful, which is sad.
Yeah.
Which is sad. So that's why I say a lot of young people go into business rash.
Yeah.
And it's like they just fall within the first 2
The guidance isn't there.
It just isn't there.
You will find that happen. I personally don't really like to blame persons based on who they have around them all the time, because myself, I wasn't privy to know the luxury of having so many success stories around me. Of course, the guys that I keep around me are solid, and I can vouch for them, and I can say, well, there's a solid crew. But I wouldn't want because sometimes I lie with persons that are not of the utmost moral standing or values. I don't want to be judged because I'm in their company, because to me, I'm not going to judge somebody based on a perception. If they can deal with me man to man, I can relate with that. You know, I can remember calling you at midnight, furious, and we spoke for about 2 hours. So that call didn't end till about 2 something, 3 o'clock. But you have to value that information, but you also have to respect yourself enough to know that this is what you want. This is life. Life isn't as easy as it seems. And you know, the Quran said Allah wouldn't give the easiest of battles to his soldiers. You know, as long as you say you believe in God, you're gonna get the most difficult of tests. So I'm saying that to say it's never going to be easy for anyone. You're gonna run, and you're gonna the thing about running into business and running out is because though you had the ideal, you maybe didn't understand. And then, like I said, when you get into business and you start understanding the complexity of dealing with it, especially in a legal manner, there's a lot of things now you start to pull back. What about if, as a self-employed person, you have to pay NIS? It's 12 point something percent, or I think is the NIS that you have to pay for self-employed persons. Is your business generating that enough funds to accumulate the funds, pay NIS, and still end up in a profit? Because your business could end up in a loss. What are some of the implications legally for a business that is running at a loss as opposed to those running at a profit? How will GRA view that? So, you know, these are lessons that, of course, like you said, they are not offered to the layman. You know, Jay-Z said it on one of his albums, I'm giving you these jewels for free. You know what I mean? So, of course, I wouldn't tell persons to disassociate with persons who are not maybe of moral upstanding like me. I would basically say if you want to go into business, you have to affiliate yourself with business people. Why would you play cricket and surround yourself with basketball players? It doesn't make sense. Of course, you can keep your basketball player friends, but when you're about to talk cricket and do cricket, you need to be around cricketers. You know, and I think that young people, some of them are not exposed to this level of friendship. Can you say you sit down around 5 business friends? No, you can't. You know, and that's not indicative of your character. That's just a fact. You ain't sitting around 5 business people, and that's okay. But you have to understand where you want to go if that's the field you wish to go into. I don't think that the school system end goal is to make you the best employer of a firm. If you went to school and you can't own your own business and function within that realm, then I think you wasted your school years. But that's just me. I could be wrong.
But you see, it's crazy that we're talking about the school because I believe, or this is just my belief, despite university students we both are and so is the case, I believe that, you know, the school has built this employee mentality into us. That's just my opinion. Because from my time going to school, I learned that, you know, you go to school and then when you finish, you know, you go to university, you get education, and you go work for somebody. To me, it doesn't prepare, you know, the average human being enough, you know, to manage their own business. To me, it's more like confined to probably an aspect whereby, you know, it's just about working in an enclosed environment, which probably is an office. Because during my school life, I would start to go to school, get an education, and work, you know, get a job somewhere and work for somebody and work your way up, which is not a bad idea. You know, it's at least it's somewhere we have to start. It's fair to say.
Foundational.
But you know, as I grew older, I used to always tell myself, the biggest failures to me are my business teachers. Because how are you going to tell me about all these types of businesses, hey, go out and do this and do that, and then at the end of the day, you just get stuck in an environment working for, you know, for somebody, and you don't have a business of your own.
I think I think because there are quite a lot of persons who think similarly, so I wouldn't want to cast that opinion aside. I don't share precisely the same view. I don't believe that the school system doesn't necessarily set you up to own your own business. I think the foundation of it all, where you acquire the knowledge or you come in contact with the knowledge of how to like for example, demand and supply, like how, like knowing what you know, school grants you that knowledge free of charge most times, except for those who go into private schools. But I think school gives you that foundational knowledge. Of course, if you take that knowledge and apply it to your business brains that you have or your business idea that you have, you can be successful. I mean, ultimately, we go to school to become good doctors, to become upstanding citizens in terms of, oh, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this, I want to be that. And ultimately, how we interpret what is taught is we have to work for somebody. So maybe in that, the school lacks the drive to instill in you that you don't necessarily need to become successful by working for somebody. You can also become successful by owning your own business. That maybe is on the school system in some degree, but understanding or comprehending what is taught also helps you to establish your own business. If you talk about being free or being not burdened economically, if you talk about those things, you have to overflow yourself with the knowledge. Of course, you aren't going to find it in most texts related to school, but there are a plethora of books on financial literacy, on financial knowledge, on financial management, that even if you don't get it in school, it's available to you. Even if you don't buy it, you can go. In my years in high school, I was in the library every single day. I can tell you I read all of the Hardy Boys books in my school years before Farm 3. So the library is available to you. The knowledge is there. So is it in the schools? Not necessarily, but to me, the foundation is in school. I don't believe that to be successful, you have to go to school. Jack Ma didn't go. Kanye West dropped out. And those are billionaires. Well, Kanye West not right now. But the point is, school, although it's not a criteria to be successful, you stand a better chance of becoming successful if you at least utilize the knowledge gained from school, as opposed to staying at home and say, oh, I don't have to go to school, because how then will you become literate? Few persons have learned to read and write and comprehend without having to go to school. And the few, we know in statistics, the few doesn't negate the general projection. So,
but you see, the thing is that indeedly correct what you're saying. Yes, it's right. The few, it really doesn't. But I it's like I want to believe though. Like I still believe, and as a science, it's just an opinion. It's something that I've grown up and I've seen all my life in school, and it's like the God is kind of like something that when you get bored, and this is what I learned in from a business teacher. She was like, Michael, if you want a bird in our theory is a woman, a girl, you need to have a job. And in order for you to have a job, you must have money. In order for you to have money, you must have education. Everything is just, it's basically rely on right back to education. But then it's fair to say that not going to school though, and learning at home, I don't think it's such a bad idea either. Because we see the world is moving so fast. We see that all young people, some of them haven't even finished high school yet, but the minds and the body, already understands the way the stock market works.
I think, to be fair, and this is not cutting you, but I think to be fair, the world has changed. I like to tell people when seeking advice, nothing is set in stone. Even though there are blueprints to a lot of stuff, human being and the human existence have always been evolving. So something that might lead you to one path this year could completely change. And a revolution can happen that might hinder that process and change entirely the way in which we obtain certain things. So that is to say, you don't have to go to school and get an education, because what does education mean? Right? That's one. You don't have to go to school to get an education to get this girl. Some girls don't like educated men. Some girls want a man who is just about maybe in the streets doing what he does to earn a living, because some girls are attracted to a man who can earn regardless of what he knows and how he comes upon the knowledge. So You don't have to go to school to get an education to get the girl.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean what the teacher was saying was incorrect.
Incorrect, yeah.
In our mind, I'm sure she's trying to tell you how to become first and foremost an upright citizen.
Yeah.
And I think because that was her conclusion, or that's what she was alluding to.
Yeah.
Everything that preceded that was basically go to school, get a job. But if you're going to really get an education,
yeah.
because the height of education is so that you are first and foremost a free thinker.
Yeah.
And I think once you attain that level of education, then more than likely you will find working for someone in contrast with the knowledge you've gained.
Yeah.
Because to be free, right? To be free, especially financially or economically, as we would say,
yeah.
that is the height of your freedom, where you're not burdened by one coming to work at 8 o'clock,
yeah.
going home at 5 o'clock. You don't have to wait till the 15th to get money.
Yeah.
So when you've attained that height of education, you will come into conflict with a lot of things that you know, because you can't be free if Leroy gotta pay you. Then you are only as free as until Leroy pay you. If Leroy don't pay you, you vex with Leroy, Leroy vex with you, but you tight to Leroy because Leroy gotta pay you. Not to say Leroy is a bad pay master.
Yeah.
I'm just saying the height of your education will almost 100% of the times not allow you to work for a firm as opposed to owning your own business, because the height of that education will elevate you to being free. And all human beings, regardless of what, crave to be free. Free in mind, free in body, free in spirit.
Yeah.
You know, those are the essentialities of the human existence. So I wouldn't blame the school system. I think what the school system is basically teaching individuals, one, to be upright and to be knowledgeable. Of course, if you take that knowledge and go work for a firm, that could work for you as well.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, especially if the firm is reputable.
Yeah.
So the school is building you up, at least at minimum, to get you to earn sufficiently for yourself, with the understanding that you are successful and you are bright. We saw Donald Trump say he's taking experience over qualifications these days.
Yeah.
So that also shows that regardless of what you are qualified to do, if he doesn't possess the requisite competency to deal with the job in terms of experience, then it makes no sense to come to me with a bunch of qualification and no practical work.
Yeah.
Of course, I do believe that's harsh on some persons. My wife studied, she literally went through the school system right up to the university. She didn't have the time to work. She now holds a degree in environmental science. Where can she work with no experience? Now she got to beg a firm to take her because there's a lack of experience in our field.
Yeah.
Now, how do we treat those persons who educate themselves and qualify themselves right up to that age? Because she's tender, she's 24.
Yeah.
You know, so from age 1 to 24 is strictly school if you're going to get a degree, basically.
Yes.
So, you know, how then does society handle those persons coming out to school? I believe is unfair. But I don't wholeheartedly hold on to the opinion that school sets you up for that. And the good thing about opinion is that the beauty about opinion, though we all can have them, is that it stands on a foundation that is not firm, which means when we come upon the requisite knowledge that contradicts that opinion, we now have to shift to accommodate that knowledge because our opinion was not grounded in necessarily facts per se. So,
that's a very, very powerful statement. And another one of my takeaway, or one of a factor that I think, you know, as work against people not becoming successful businessman or woman, is that a lot of them doesn't have this thing called discipline. Because I believe that if you manage to have $100,000 for some reason, however you get it, and you can't manage $100,000, there is nowhere under God or that you could manage 1 million. And that is one of the biggest problems that I think a lot of people face in this society, because we believe that for us to branch out or endeavor into business, we must have a finished product.
Yeah.
We believe that, hey, if I'm going to sell bread, I must get old stand filled with bread. We believe that, you know what, hey, we can start by selling one tray of bread, and then we're going to move up, and then we're going to move up. And then when you look at it in a year or two, you know, we can get a big bread stand. Everybody now is basically so attracted to reaching the top fast.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest problem in people becoming successful or not.
You see, the Rothschild has managed to be rich from the time the family decided that banking is their thing. From that time, which is from like 1700s to today, because they understand what money actually is, regardless of whether we use gold as money or we use fiat currency as money. You have to understand the importance of money. Every dollar earned should be accounted for. Every dollar expended should be accounted for. And I think financial literacy is missing amongst a lot of persons, because growing up in a quote-unquote third world or the global south, we tend to think throwing money at the problem will fix the problem. And that's not necessarily the case. Financial literacy is about understanding finance. It is about understanding the tools of finance. You're talking about management, investment, risk analysis. All of these things encompasses financial literacy. Now, if persons are not financially literate, of course, they wouldn't know to spend any amount of money. You know, there's a story told in The Richest Man in Babylon, where the father had two sons. Of course, he's rich, and wanted to give both of them. Both of them asked him for money, and he said, "Listen, I can give y'all two things. I can give y'all a bag of gold, and I can give y'all the knowledge on how to acquire the bag of gold. You guys choose whichever you want." One of the sons said, "Listen, don't bother the knowledge. Give me a bag of gold. I gonna make this work." The other son said, "Fair enough. I can take the knowledge." The one with the bag of gold ended up broken more faster than Paul Walker could drive. Right? The one with the book not only accumulated that one bag of gold that his father was going to give him, but so much so that it started replenishing itself. Because in that, knowledge is power, like they normally say. And if you don't know how to accumulate something, of course you are going to lose it. You know, so, and there's also another theory in the power of discipline, where the guys say persons who go for instant gratification might find more sadness in being gratified faster than persons who prolong their gratification. So you could give me a bag of gold, I can be happy right away. But there's more gratitude and there's more love for something, having to work for it and having to earn it. And a lot of people, of course, don't understand that, one, because those knowledge are foreign to them. And of course, like I said, finance is something goes as fast as it comes. And if you don't understand how to maximize its usage, of course you're going to cry. It doesn't have to be 100,000. If somebody can't manage $20,000, you're going to give them $2 million. I guarantee you they will lose every single one of that money given. You know.
But you see, it's not only time management. I specifically wrote this down. Not only time management, but money management will also be talked about. You know, because study shows that the African community has the lowest money management ratings globally.
I think that particular point will raise an entire ant's nest that the show, one, will not permit us to go into, and then I think two, it's going to get political when you speak of the African plight and finance. Of course, the world is changing now. More Africans are more exposed to more knowledge now.
And that's exactly where I want to.
Back then, one, we could not have gained access to a lot of institutions. Back then, there weren't a lot of us that were so rich to give back. And like I said, if you give money to somebody who isn't of the requisite knowledge and how to deal with it, of course, you're just giving away money. And a lot of times, even if you use Guyana as an example, you continue giving Guyana a set of money. If you don't have competent leaders, you're wasting the money.
Yeah.
Or the money is being wasted
Yeah.
because the leaders are not competent. I'm not saying that's a reality facing Guyana.
Yeah.
That's a reality facing any country. If you have enough money, you have leaders who don't understand how to manage the money, how to manage the country's finance. The country is going to end up broken. Today, Africa is the way it is, of course, because of external pressure. That's one. And two, we have thrown a lot of money into Africa as well. The World Bank, in one of its reports in the previous century, proposed a Lagos solution and a few other, where they just throw a lot of money at Africa's problem, and those problems exacerbated. We end up with more problems than we started with. So, of course, if we get into what the money management of Africa need, but like I said, we live in a globalized world now. Knowledge is more out there. We have more access to it.
Yeah.
On your point, you're right. Even if you want to use America in itself, the African community makes more money than if you rank the amount of money that the African American community bring into America. It's going to be the 9th largest country economically, most powerful country. That's the amount of money that they bring in, that they generate. If you look at how much they spend, it's crazy. They spend more than any other person. What do they buy? Cars, sneakers, phones, all depreciating assets. Things that if you buy $200 today, it's worth $150 tomorrow, and then $100 the next day. You know, so those are things that have affected in specific the African community. But I don't want to get into that because that's going to raise a whole bunch of other political connotations. But if you just look at what we have here today, the knowledge is out there. Last year I spent over 1,500 US in books. You know, it's not to say I like buy books, I like read. There's a reason I want to acquire all of that knowledge. Knowledge isn't free. It definitely ain't cheap. 1,500 US is no. I would take back the 1,500 US right now. But my point to you is, you know, these are things we must be willing to do in terms, if we are to become successful, if we are to go that route. That's the extent we must be willing to go. You ask the average, you willing to spend 1,500 today for learn? Definitely not. From books, no, I can go in the streets. And of course, that might work for a few. It mightn't work for everybody. I'm not saying take my example because I don't believe my blueprint might be your blueprint. You can succeed. Drake is selling more than Jay-Z. And Jay-Z got his own blueprint. Drake definitely ain't using Jay-Z blueprint. You can use Drake blueprint to earn more. You know what I mean? So nobody path is set in stone that we all can replicate, but there are lessons to be learned from that and in that, and I think that is that is missing from a lot of us. I think we can do better. I think we will do better, but it's not a far-fetched idea.
And lastly, before we curtain this off, I just want you to speak on one more thing, Jafar, before we close such a fantastic business session I call this. I want you to close on one of your favorite words, and I really wanted it to be last because you used to use this word on me a lot in UG. My God, you ain't good at negotiation at all. Always negotiation important, especially in becoming a successful businessman and also having a successful business.
I think it's very important. It's critical to that point. In negotiating, you have to understand precisely what is your value, what you're bringing to the table, what can you really deliver. As long as you know those key components, then you can set your price. You can say, listen, for $500,000, I can do this, and I can do it better than anybody else. Now, of course, the guy on the other table will say, man, 500,000 might be too high. But if you know that 500 is the lowest you can go, because maybe you can work for $1 million, but you cut it down to accommodate the client in front, you say 500,000. Then that is your price. And you have to understand the importance of how valuable your work is and how valuable your output is. You know, today I came upon Alonzo CPO's post, and he was saying, my price is my price. If you can't pay my price, I'm fine with that. Go to somebody else. And in that, as arrogant as it can come off the person, there's a valuable lesson in saying, I stand by the quality of output that I can guarantee.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you a Lamborghini's finish for a Lamborghini's finished price. You're not going to pay me a Toyota Corolla price for a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay me a Hummer price for a Lamborghini. You are going to pay me a Lamborghini price for a Lamborghini. So negotiation is important in so far as we understand the value of our output and the value of our work, and obviously how we value ourselves. Because if I'm buying something from somebody very cheap, obviously I think they are a cheap person.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean if I'm buying something from you expensive, mean you're an expensive person, because you can exploit the situation. But when it comes to doing work for people, you have to stand on your price, or you have to set your price, your negotiating price, to reflect your output. You know, at the online store, we pride ourselves in the best prices. You can attest to it. We deliver stuff to you in 8 days. You know, sometimes when we tell customers we can bring items in the country in under 8 days, they say no way. I can tell you a guy bought a Apple AirPod Max, that's the headphones. Wednesday he paid for it, and it came in the country Monday. The following Monday, he got it Tuesday. If you count the business days, that's Thursday, Friday, Monday. That's 3 days. That's not exaggerating. Those things can happen, but like I said, for the right price, if you have that price that you're comfortable with, the customer is comfortable with, and you can guarantee the work for that price, then you're fine. Nobody wants to pay $500 million for a Toyota Corolla. $500 million for Toyota Corolla is brutal, because the Toyota Corolla cannot give you the output as $500 million. You know, so I think that is negotiation is very critical to your business and how successful you are.
We spoke about financial literacy. We spoke about time management, and we ended a very good business show on negotiation. These are our core steps in order for any one of us who endeavors into the world of business. I guess it's fair to say that business starts from the day we born. I don't want to say I don't want to say that's what Jafar said, but it sounds to me. But as I say, focus has been good. Myself and Jafar, we spoke on business. We talk about, you know, the basic necessities needed for someone to be successful in business. So we hope that you, our viewers, could take something, you know, into consideration when endeavoring into business and try to be successful as others, Jeff Bezos and the crew, are in society. Barrett Jack Dio. I just want to say thanks to my production team, Kenneth Gaskin, for bringing such a wonderful business show to Focus. So before Jafar, again, I just want to say thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming through for Focus again, especially for business. I needed someone that knows a lot about business to deliver on business, and who's best to call. Any business expertise, call Jafar. Thank you, bro. Thank you for being here.